I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Today we're reading from the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, and let's focus on verses 20 through 25. When your son asks you in the future, what is the meaning of the decrees, statutes, and ordinances which the Lord our God has commanded you, tell him, we were slaves of Pharaoh in Egypt, but the Lord brought us out with a strong hand. Before our eyes, the Lord inflicted great and devastating signs and wonders on Egypt, on Pharaoh and all of his household. But he brought us from there in order to lead us in and give us the land that he swore to our fathers. The Lord commanded us to follow all the statutes and fear the Lord our God for our prosperity, always and for our preservation as it is this day. Righteousness will be ours if we are careful to follow every one of these commands before the Lord our God, as he commanded us. Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 20 to 25. Now it's been said, the most powerful tool of evangelism is the testimony. Skeptics will argue the existence of God, the deity of his Son, the authority of the Bible. There's one thing nobody can refute, and that is your experience. Nobody can take away your testimony combined with observable change in your life, your I once was blind, but now I see testimony. Now, Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 20 through 25 is basically a scripted testimony. It's the predictable conversation between a godly father and his son. And the scenario assumes that the father is faithfully obeying the Lord, thus prompting his son to ask, why? Now, if you have never had this conversation with your father or your children or your grandchildren, well, you can pretty much guarantee there is a breakdown somewhere in biblical parental leadership. And I love the innocence of the child's question. I remember the first time my kids asked me why we have a parental block on our TV. And I had to explain, not everyone loves the Lord and not everything on TV is good for you. And that we're going to live according to the Bible in our house. My kids have always been in safe and open and Christian communities, so we literally have to teach them to not trust everybody. In today's passage, the child has known nothing but freedom and God's blessing. He has to be taught of bondage and slavery. And who better to teach his son than a father? And what more believable testimony than from the one who should be most trustworthy? This testimony is also a reminder that when we share our faith, we should include three elements: past, present, and future. What do I mean? I once was in bondage, the past, but God delivered me, the present. The Lord commanded us to follow him for our prosperity as it is to this day. Moving forward, righteousness will be ours if we follow Jesus, the one who fulfilled the commandments for us as we are commanded to do. I'm Steve Wiggins, and this is the Groundworks Ministries podcast. Check us out at groundworksministries.com.